probably asking yourself, what is it really like to live in Phoenix? Like, what's the costs, especially with everything that's happened over the last couple of years, massive inflation, housing prices? I mean, just what is it really like? Well, let's break it down for you so you know exactly what you're getting into when moving to the Phoenix area. Number one is housing. That is going to definitely be the most important thing. So if you're wondering at the time of this video, median home price today is about $450,000. A two-bedroom apartment is running about $1,900 a month. Yes, I really said that. Just a few years ago, both of these numbers were significantly lower. But the good thing is the income has also jumped up. What's going to take really to live a comfortable life in the greater Phoenix area? Well, according to the MIT livable wage calculator in the greater Phoenix area, if you are a single person making $66,000 with no children, you are going to live a very comfortable life in the greater Phoenix area. So know that that's just kind of like where that benchmark is. So if you make significantly more than that, or it's a combined income, you are going to absolutely love calling Phoenix home. Now, housing prices, depending on where you are looking, is going to vary greatly. Median at 450 doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Let me tell you what is going on in the greater Phoenix area, and it's going to be like this probably for many years. Unfortunately, on a national level, most of the homeowners, I think it's more than 60% of the people in the US have a mortgage less than 3%. So what does that mean? That means those homeowners are not going to be moving anytime soon unless there is a major life change, or perhaps they are changing jobs or being relocated to another city. So this is making the resale inventory this big. And so new construction is becoming even more of a demand. Now, with what's going on with the builders right now, you definitely need representation. These builders have taken advantage of buyers over the last couple of years. Supply chain issues, labor issues, and their customer service and warranty issues right now are really popping up. You want to make sure you give us a call before you come to town, before you call the new construction online. Look, I'm telling you, they're going to only show you the pretty stuff. We'll tell you what it's really like. So depending on the area that you're looking for, the reality of the price is going to vary. Now, I do have to say, I love what some of the builders are doing right now. Not only are great pricing, but they're doing some amazing incentives, and they usually give us a call before they actually mark it up on their websites, so we know about it ahead of time. We have been able to get our clients into loans right now for less than 5%. So you got to give us a call so we can help you keep that housing cost lower. Know that the national average for what you spend on housing is 34% of your income after taxes. Here in the greater Phoenix area, we're right at a median of 34.2. So we're right there with the national average, despite the fact that our prices have gone up significantly. But when you compare this to any of the major larger areas, we're talking numbers like in the 40s and the 70s on 70% of, actually Miami is 80% of your income. I'm telling you, LA was 43%, Seattle was 37%. So Arizona coming in at 34.2%. It's not that bad for the income that people are earning here with all the great new jobs. What you want to know is, beyond that housing expense, what are you going to have to pay for? Homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is taking a big hit this year because of all the problems that we have had. California and Florida, thanks, bookend states. And now, of course, we have what happened in Maui. And so we're going to continue to see this. So I would say the average, depending on the size of the home, you are going to be looking at a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath house could be as low as $800 or $900 a year. Looking at about a 4,000 square foot home that's relatively new, you're talking about $1,800 a year. So still significantly lower than those bookend states. But homeowners insurance has gone up. Utilities, that's a big conversation that everybody has with us. And this has everything to do with the house and also your lifestyle. I work from home, so I keep it at a moderate temperature throughout the day, throughout the year. I am on SRP's same payment every single month. I have a new roof, new AC, and I have fantastic insulation. My electricity bill is $150 a month every single month. So it's actually lower than that in the winter winter and higher than that in the summer, but it's not as painful when I have to make those July, August, and September bills for the previous month. Here's where I hear people complaining. They live in older homes with older roofs, terrible insulation, single pane windows, or windows with broken seals, older ACs. And I love this when I have clients and we call to find out how old is the AC or how old is the roof. Their response was, well, it works. Well, it's not at its optimal. And this is where new construction would be more advantageous. So again, when you're really evaluating housing costs, give us a call, you guys. It's not as black and white as what is the house cost. There's so many other variables, and we will have that conversation with you. You just got to give us a call at least a month in advance, even a year or 2 years in advance. We want to put together the best plan for you and get you the biggest bang for your buck. Now, caring for your home is also equally important. If you buy a new construction home, you are talking about every other month you're going to have bug service. That's going to range anywhere from $65 to $70 a month. If you live in an area closer to a mountain, you're probably going to be doing more service, a bigger amount of treatment, and more frequent. If you love living in the mountains, and I'm sure you do in Arizona, you're going to have an increase of probability of even just spiders and crickets, and yes, the everly hated scorpion. So you're going to want to make sure that you set aside money for those services. Also, you are going to, I should say, weed service twice a year. It's called a weed emergent. And so I never have to, well, my kids aren't little, but when they were little, I would be like, what are you guys doing this weekend? You got chores to do outside. It builds a strong, soul, right? Anyways, today I just spray my house and the yard twice a year, and that runs $170 each time, and I never see a weed in my yard. I love it. Also, you're going to wonder about what's water cost. Believe it or not, we don't have crazy water costs despite the fact that we have a drought and we live in the desert. Here's the thing. We've had water management services and projects in place for over 50 years in the greater Phoenix area. We were one of the first cities that started to implement these things. Hello, California. Here's the biggest myth that we have. We're not running out of water. Everyone that lives here already has 100 years banked for their home. So in order for our home to be built, the builder had to assure 100 years of water. And the same goes for the new construction today. And that's why we will see fewer building permits in the future. So if you're thinking that property values are going to go down for any reason, wrong. We have more people moving here. We have more companies moving here. We have more jobs moving here. We do have the sustainability as long as we manage and live environmentally friendly. We live in the desert. So if you're coming to the greater Phoenix area and you're buying a new construction home, know that you're going to have to put your backyard in. There are places that you can get pools for as little as $40,000, but that doesn't mean every single part of the city offers the same services. For instance, if you add a pool in the Chandler area, you could get a pool in for about $30,000, $40,000. If you want to do one in Scottsdale, you're probably not going to be really justifying your property if you do anything less than $100,000 pool. That's not the backyard. That's just the pool. And pool service is going to be different depending on where you live. The more expensive area you live in, the higher the cost is for the services. For instance, landscaping. Nobody here does their own landscaping. Well, at least I don't. And landscaping in the Southeast Valley is going to be about $50, $60 a visit. In the Southwest Valley, it's going to be about $40 to $50 a visit. And sometimes visits are usually once a week or once every other week. Once every other week is more than fine in really the entire greater Phoenix area. But if you live in the northwest part of the valley, you're talking closer to $60 to $70 a visit. And if you get into the northeast part, which is Scottsdale, you're talking closer to $75 or $100 for the visit. So when you're buying in expensive areas, you're going to pay exponentially more, but like the per unit use for electricity and water is not exponentially more. Believe it or not, Scottsdale water is relatively inexpensive. And what does that mean? It means each city has their own water municipality and they have their own water treatment plants. Water tasting and quality is different throughout the valley. So if that's important, definitely let us know. You got to give us a call. There's so many little tiny conversations about buying a home in the greater Phoenix area. All right, guys, let's also talk about like just tree maintenance. People don't even realize the big tall palm trees, those need to be trimmed twice a year. Those are not cheap. Those are going to be about $100 a palm. Or if you have the big pineapple ones, those could get as much as $300. So there's always maintenance costs that are involved. So think about that. And those are conversations we'll have with you when you're buying a home with us. Let's talk about food. Like food, I think is pretty like outside of living in your home. What do? You either go out for some kind of entertainment, right? Or you're going to the grocery store and you're bringing it home. Grocery stores, if we look at what the grocery stores are offering today, let's see what those costs look like. Food costs, bread about $3.68, dozen eggs $2.28, gallon of milk $1.93. Here's the difference, guys, though. Are you shopping at Fry's grocery store or Safeway's, or are you shopping at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods? There's a total variable. I'm telling you, if you shop at Whole Foods, you can expect to spend probably 30 to 40% higher than what you see at Fry's. And believe it or not, Walmart is a quality grocery store here in the greater Phoenix area. We also have Winco. If we look at what entertainment costs are, you can get into a movie. It says here, $10. Yoga classes, you are going to find an abundance of different type of health gym activity memberships here. You can get a small personal trainer for as little as $65 an hour versus California, $185 I think was the lowest I could find. If you are getting the services, it's less expensive. But if you are having your own business, know that that is also at a lower rate here. You can go to some of the more higher expensive areas like Scottsdale, be a personal trainer, but it's really hard to break into that business. So again, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are self-employed, that of course changes things on your mortgage as well. But give us a call. We'll talk to you. We'll share like what your type of business might do best. But like for instance, if you're an interior designer, chances are you're going to need to be near the Scottsdale area. And if you're just starting out, you're probably not going to be able to afford to live in the Scottsdale area. These are all the kind of conversations we want to have with you. You just got to give us a call. So if we look at what the food for entertainment is, if you go out, like I just actually took a friend of mine out to a place called Hangar Cafe in Chandler, Arizona. You can eat right on the runway at the little Chandler Air Park. The breakfast for two of us, we had breakfast and a cup of coffee each. It came with tip, it was $40. So just to give you an idea, that same breakfast up in Scottsdale probably would have been $60. If you add a mimosa to that, it would have been $80 to $100. So you're going to spend more for cocktails and food and just services up in the Scottsdale area. That is not the only place that has some of these great mom and pop little tiny shops. And I don't know about you guys, but I love supporting the small businesses and the little guy in the greater Phoenix area. Let's talk about medical. That's super important. I'll tell you, I love the fact that, and if you didn't notice, I love Arizona. I love the fact that there's so many choices here in the greater Phoenix area for medical care. Now, whether you're talking about orthodontic, if you're talking about orthopedic surgeon, if you're talking about regular care, if you're talking about sports medicine, if you're talking about physical therapy, there's choices in every million different directions. There's all different types of state insurance plan, and I'm not talking about the access. I'm talking about like me, myself, I'm self-employed. I have over 50 different plans to choose from. If you're with an employer, there's all kinds of medical, usually a couple of different choices. And of course, there's that pre-tax medical savings account that you can do in the greater Phoenix area. In fact, let's talk about taxes. Taxes are significantly lower here. Number one, property taxes in the Maricopa County. They are a flat 0.62% of the assessed value. Now, assessed value is different than property value. It's actually a little bit lower. It's relatively inexpensive. A home in Maricopa County at $500,000 is about $1,800 a year, just to give you kind of like a benchmark there, right? Also, income taxes are a flat 2.5%, no matter what your income is in the greater Phoenix area. And if you are a senior, you will not pay taxes on estate nor your Social Security benefits. So there's a lot of benefits, and our county sales tax is a nominal 6.3%. Now, each city has another little layer on it, so you're going to get different taxes all over the greater Phoenix area. So like, for instance, I'm going to be be buying a car at the end of this month, and I'll make sure I'll be going to a city that has a lower sales tax. Makes sense, right? Let's talk about some of the other costs that are like kind of day to day and what it is aside from entertainment. Because you know what? There is all kinds of entertainment. You can go to the movies for $12, unless it's a matinee. I took my daughter to the taco festival this last weekend. It was only $15 to get in. They had a Boots in the Park concert. It was 3 days for $180. Like when you compare that to places like Coachella or in Las Vegas or Los Angeles, it is significantly less here in the greater Phoenix area. Other forms of entertainment are going to be like we have the symphony, we also have theater, but here's the greatest part. Don't forget the greater Phoenix area is in smack dab in the most beautiful desert, honestly, in my opinion, in the entire US. It is free for the most part to go enjoy our beautiful desert. I'm a huge hiker and I love that I can park for free, I can hit the trail for free, or I can even go to the Salt River. I love paddleboarding and so does my dog. And aside from me buying my paddleboard and the few things that I need to go with it, I bought a Tonto National Forest annual pass. It's $60 and I can go down the Salt River anytime I want. I can go to different lakes for like $2 to $5 to park. There's so many outdoor activities for free. There are also, like for instance, my church, Cornerstone, next month is having a huge pumpkin patch. There's all kinds of free events also here in the greater Phoenix area. So if you are thinking of moving here and will still be on a budget, there's things you can do for free in the greater Phoenix area. My mother, she lives in Santa Clara County in California, and I'll tell you, there's nothing you can do for free. Absolutely nothing. Like even parking. It's absolutely crazy there. All right, car insurance. Car insurance is still nominal here. It is actually, according to the internet, we are less than California. We are less than Texas. So again, when you are comparing housing, that's the first thing everybody looks at. They look at what the housing price is. I get this all the time from people that live in Atlanta. The house here is only $400, so I don't want to spend more than $400 there. I'm like, yeah, but your property taxes is going to be a lot less. And they're like, oh yeah. And then we start talking about utilities and insurance and things like that. And then they realize they can actually pay more for their house here and still live a better quality life because other things are less expensive. Gasoline, I don't like talking about because Phoenix is more expensive. It's not as expensive as California, but it is more expensive than either down in Tucson here in the greater Phoenix area. Phoenix does have a pollution issue, and so they mandate a higher quality grade of 87 octane. So even though it's still 87, if you buy it here or Dallas or whatever, it's more expensive here because it's a higher quality to keep the pollution down. Right now in the greater Phoenix area, it's still out for decision. People are still playing around like, does it make sense? Does it not make sense? If you're not going to own your home for the entire time you finance, I wouldn't recommend that you get solar because I'll tell you, when you go to resale, the buyers do not like it and it's not that much of a savings anymore. The buyback from the utility companies, it is better on the western part of the greater Phoenix area than the eastern, meaning APS has a better buyback program than SRP, but it's kind of, again, like I said, not everybody loves solar, so it's not a given here. I think I've covered everything, but you know what? If I haven't, oh, here's two more. HOAs, when you are buying a new home right now, if it's a resale, we are finding that we are seeing a lot more capital improvement fees or higher transfer fees. That is from deferred HOA increases. Again, when we are looking for you, these are the little details that we will dig into for you. And you just can't have just a general conversation. Cable and internet, very different for everybody, because if you are on, let's just say internet, like I don't even have cable anymore. I stream everything. But then you got to make sure you have a high internet service, unlimited, and I pay $90 a month, but there are internet services for as low as $30 a month in the greater Phoenix area. You know what, you guys, there's just way too much to cover here. I've hopefully given you some information, and you know what you just need to do is give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. These nights or weekends, we got your back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona, and I cannot wait to hear from you and share more about Phoenix, Arizona. Until next time, see y'all soon.